One. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books right here in the live studios. Radha Lane. That's 3402 Radha Lane, Houston, Texas, 77018. We tried to make it 01108, but it's 018, so we were close. We almost made it. All right. Welcome all of you out there in cyberspace. We hope you're having a lovely day and a lovely week and a lovely life hearing about Krishna. That's our goal in life, is to help you make your life lovely simply by absorbing ourselves every day, at least for some time of the day, absorbed in hearing about Krishna in the association of the Vaishnavas. Okay, Sanatana Goswami's prayer to the Srimad-Bhagavatam that we recite every day goes like this. Sarva Shastabdipi Yusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kali Dvanduditaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Shri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshakshadayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin Madguru Man Mahadana Man Nisadaga Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. The sadhu sadhutadayin atini chuchatakada Hanamunchagadachin mam premna ritkanta yaspura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All right. We've reached the 6th chapter of the 11th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam. And this is a very intense part of the Bhagavatam, as Shukadeva Goswami narrates the way Krishna prepares the earth for his departure. We start with text 20. Sri Shukadeva Goswami continued. After Brahma, along with Lord Shiva and the other demigods, thus offered prayers to the Supreme Lord Govinda, Lord Brahma situated himself in the sky and addressed the Lord as follows. Text 21. Lord Brahma said, My dear Lord, previously we requested you to remove the burden of the earth. O unlimited personality of Godhead, that request has certainly been fulfilled. Purport. Lord Krishna might have said to the demigods, actually, you requested Chirodakashayi Vishnu to come down, so why are you saying that you requested me? After all, I am Govinda. Therefore, Brahma has addressed the Lord here as Asheshatma, or the unlimited personality of Godhead, from whom all plenary expansions of Vishnu emanate. This is the opinion of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Text 22. My Lord, you have re-established the principles of religion among pious men who are always firmly bound to the truth. You have also distributed your glories all over the world, and thus the whole world can be purified by hearing about you. Text 23. Descending into the dynasty of King Yadu, you have manifested your unique transcendental form, and for the benefit of the entire universe, you have executed magnanimous transcendental activities. Text 24. My dear Lord, those pious and saintly persons who in the age of Kali hear about your transcendental activities and also glorify them will easily cross over the darkness of the age. My dear Lord, those pious and saintly persons who in the age of Kali hear about your transcendental activities and also glorify them will easily cross over the darkness of the age. Purport. Unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, many persons are not attracted to the authorized Vedic literatures. Minimizing the transcendental process of hearing and chanting the glories of the personality of Godhead, they prefer to listen to useless and whimsical vibrations on the radio and television, like the Super Bowl, in newspapers and magazines, and so on. Rather than hear about Krishna from the bona fide spiritual master, they endlessly give their own opinions about everything until they are dragged away by the force of time. After studying the temporary limited forms of the material world, they impatiently conclude that the absolute truth is formless. Such persons are actually worshipping Krishna's illusory energy, Maya, who has been authorized to kick their stubborn heads. If instead people hear directly about Krishna from the bona fide sources, they will very easily solve all the problems of their lives. In Kali Yuga, people are constantly suffering from many psychological, social, economic, historical, political, and existential problems. But all these nightmarish problems can be removed as soon as one awakens to the transcendental reality of the personality of Godhead, who is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, and beyond the bewildering manifestations of the material energy. The Lord appears within this universe so that people can observe, hear about, and glorify His actual activities. In this difficult age of Kali, we should all seriously take advantage of this opportunity. Text 25. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O my Lord, you have descended into the Yadu dynasty, and thus you have spent 125 autumns with your devotees. Well, that means it's getting close. Text 26 and 27. Here goes enthusiasm personified. Hare Krishna Vishab. My dear Lord, there is nothing remaining at this time for your Lordship to do on behalf of the demigods. You have already withdrawn your dynasty by the curse of the Brahmanas. O Lord, you are the basis of everything, and if you so desire, kindly return now to your own abode in the spiritual world. At the same time, we humbly beg that you always protect us. We are your humble servants, and on your behalf, we are managing the universal situation. We, along with our planets and followers, require your constant protection. Text 28. The Supreme Lord said, O Lord of the demigods, Brahma, I understand your prayers and requests. Having removed the burden of the earth, I have executed everything that was required on your behalf. Text 29. Just see how responsible Krishna is. Brahma comes and says, the burden of the earth is, you got to remove the burden, We think twice to take anything on when to speak of removing the burden of the earth. It's very responsible, Krishna. And he did it. Whole thing, complete. Didn't leave a stone unturned. A demon alive, practically. Purport. The heroes of the Yadu dynasty were so powerful that even the demigods could not check them. The enthusiasm of the Yadus was unlimitedly increased by their by their victories in dangerous battles.
I don't think you read the text.
Text?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Good thing you're here. You and Rasika are my saviors. Translation. That very Yadava dynasty in which I appeared became greatly magnified in opulence, especially in their physical strength and courage, to the extent that they threatened to devour the whole world. Therefore I have stopped them, just as the shore holds back the great ocean. Purport. The heroes of the Yadu dynasty were so powerful that even the demigods could not check them. The enthusiasm of the Yadus was unlimitedly increased by their victories in dangerous battles, and they could not be killed. Due to their martial spirit, they naturally desired to establish their power over the whole world. Therefore the Lord checked them and withdrew them from the earth. Text 30. If I were to leave this world without withdrawing the overly proud members of the Yadu dynasty, the whole world would be destroyed by the deluge of their unlimited expansion. Purport. Just as a tidal wave overwhelms the boundary of the shore and wreaks havoc on innocent people, similarly there was imminent danger that the powerful Yadu dynasty might expand beyond all boundaries of social and political control. The members of the Yadu dynasty had become proud because of their apparent familial relationship with the Supreme Personality, with the Personality of Godhead. Although they were very religious and devoted to Brahminical culture, they had become, as indicated by the word driptanam, affected by pride due to their relationship with Krishna. Furthermore, due to their intense love for Krishna, they would certainly feel such intense separation after the Lord's departure to the spiritual world that they would become maddened and thus become an unbearable burden on the earth. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has pointed out, however, that the earth herself, due to attachment for Krishna, would never consider Krishna's own family members to be anything but a welcome burden. Still, Krishna wanted to remove this burden. The example is given that for the pleasure of her husband, a beautiful young wife may decorate herself with many golden ornaments. These ornaments constitute a painful burden for the delicate wife, but although she is willing to bear this burden, the loving husband removes the ornaments for the pleasure of his wife. So the Lord, desiring to apply the wisdom of an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, took precautions to remove from the earth the burden of the Yadu dynasty. Text 31. Now, due to the Brahmana's curse, The annihilation of my family has already begun. O sinless Brahma, when this annihilation is finished, and I am en route to Vaikuntha, I will pay a small visit to your abode. Purport. The members of the Yadu dynasty are eternal servants of the Lord. Therefore, Srila Jiva Goswami has explained the word nasha, or destruction, as nigudyanam dvarakayam parveshanam ityarthaha. The members of the Yadu dynasty entered into the hidden or confidential Dwarka in the spiritual world, which is not manifested here on the earth. In other words, Dwarka, the Lord's abode, is manifest on the earth, and when the earthly Dwarka is apparently removed, the eternal Dwarka in the spiritual world remains as it is. Since the members of the Yadu dynasty are eternal associates of the Lord, there is no question of their destruction. Only our conditioned vision of their manifestation was destroyed. This is the meaning of the word nashaha. Text 32. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, thus addressed by the Lord of the universe, the self-born Brahma fell down in obeisances at the lotus feet of the Lord. Surrounded by all the demigods, the great Brahma then returned to his personal abode. Text 33. Thereafter, the personality of Godhead observed that tremendous disturbances were taking place in the holy city of Dwarka. Thus the Lord spoke to the assembled senior members of the Yadu dynasty as follows. Purport. Munivasa nivase kim gate tar vishta darshanam. There is no possibility of actual disturbances or inauspicious events in holy places inhabited by saintly persons. Thus, the so-called disturbances in Dwarka were directly enacted by the personality of Godhead for his own auspicious purpose. Hare Krishna Sarva. Haribo. Text 34. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, our dynasty has been cursed by the Brahmanas. Such a curse is impossible to counteract, and thus great disturbances are everywhere around us. Text 35. My dear respected elders, we must not remain any longer in this place if we wish to keep our lives intact. Let us go this very day to the most pious place, Prabhasa. We have no time to delay. Purport. Many demigods, coming to the earth to assist Lord Krishna in his pastimes, took birth within the Yadu dynasty and appeared as Lord Krishna's associates. When the Lord had completed his earthly pastimes, he wanted to send these demigods back to their previous service in universal administration. Each demigod was to return to his respective planet. The transcendental city of Dwarka is so auspicious that whoever dies there immediately goes back home, back to Godhead. But because the demigod members of the Yadu dynasty, in many cases, were not yet prepared to go back to Godhead, they had to die outside the city of Dwarka. Thus Lord Krishna, pretending to be an ordinary living being, said, we are all in danger. Let us all immediately go to Prabhasa. In this way, by his Yogamaya, Krishna bewildered such demigod members of the Yadu dynasty and led them away to the holy place, Prabhasa. It was very interesting, huh? Because some of them went to Prabhasa, the rest of them stayed there, and the whole ocean went boom, and only a few survived. Since Dwarka is Paramamangala, the most auspicious place, not even an imitation of inauspiciousness can take place there. Actually, Lord Krishna's pastime of removing the Yadu dynasty is ultimately auspicious, but since it outwardly appeared inauspicious, it could not take place in Dwarka. Therefore, Lord Krishna led the Yadus away from Dwarka. After having sent the demigods back to their planets, Lord Krishna planned to return to the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, in his original form, and remain in the eternal city of Vaikuntha, in this eternal city of Dwarka. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has made the following important comments on this verse. In chapter 30 of the 11th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam, it is written that after hearing the words of Sri Krishna, the Yadavas went to the mainland from the island city of Dwarka by means of boats.
Is there a part that's missing from yours? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
Has made the following important comments on this verse.
Yeah, did you read that?
Yeah, I thought I did.
There's a sentence where it says Prabhasa, the famous holy place.
Yeah.
That might have been edited out.
Yeah.
It's edited out. It was edited out. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has made the following important comments on this verse. In chapter 30 of the 11th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam, it is written that after hearing the words of Sri Krishna, the Yadavas went to the mainland from the island city of Dwarka by means of boats, and then traveled to Prabhasa in chariots. At Prabhas Chetra, they drank a beverage called Maireya and became engaged in a mutual quarrel. In a great battle ensued, and killing each other with hard stalks of cane, the members of the Yadu dynasty acted out the pastime of their own annihilation. Lord Sri Krishna, manifesting his four-armed form, sat down under a pipala tree, placing his left foot, the heel of which was colored red like the red coconut lotus, upon his right thigh. A hunter named Jara, watching from the shore of the ocean at Prabhas, mistook the Lord's red-colored foot to be the face of a deer and shot his arrow at it. At the base of that same pipala tree, under which Lord Krishna had sat, there is now a temple. 1 mile away from the tree, on the seashore, is the Vira Prabhanjana Mat. It is said that from this point, the hunter Jara fired his arrow. In conclusion to his work, Mahabharat Tatparya Nirnaya, Sri Madhvacharya Pad has written the following purport to the Maushala Lila. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, in order to bewilder the demons and ensure that the world of his own devotees and of the Brahmanas be maintained, created a body of material energy into which the arrow was shot. But the Lord's actual four-armed form was never touched by the arrow of Jara, who was actually the Lord's devotee, Bhrigu Rishi. In a previous age, Bhrigu Muni had placed his foot on the chest of Lord Vishnu in order to counteract the offense of improperly placing his foot on the Lord's chest. Bhrigu had to take birth as a degraded hunter. But even though a great devotee willingly accepts such a low birth, the personality of Godhead cannot tolerate seeing his devotee in such a fallen condition. Thus the personality of Godhead arranged that at the end of Dwapara Yuga, when the Lord was winding up his manifest pastimes, his devotee Bhrigu, in the form of the hunter Jara, would shoot the arrow into a material body created by the Lord's illusory energy. Thus the hunter would become remorseful, gain release from his degraded birth, and go back to the Vaikuntha Loka. I mean, Krishna never misses a trick, does he? Amazing. And therefore, to please his devotee Bhrigu and to confuse the demons, the Supreme Lord manifested his Maushala Lila at Prabhas. But it should be understood that this is an illusory pastime. The personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, from his very appearance on the earth, did not manifest any of the material qualities of ordinary human beings. the Lord did not appear from the womb of his mother. Rather, by his inconceivable power, he descended into the maternity room. At the time of his giving up this mortal world, he simply manifested an illusory situation for the sake of bewildering the demons. To bewilder the non-devotees, the Lord created an illusory body out of his material energy, while simultaneously remaining personally in his own Satchit Ananda body, and thus he manifested the downfall of an illusory material form. This pretense effectively bewilders foolish demons, but Lord Sri Krishna's actual, transcendental, eternal body of bliss never experiences death. Also at Prabhasa Kshetra, there is the holy place known as Bhrigu-tirtha, which was manifested by Lord Parashuram. The place at which the two rivers, Saraswati and Hiranya, flow together into the ocean is named Bhrigu-tirtha, and there the hunter shot his arrow. There is an elaborate description of Prabhasa Tirtha in the Prabhasa Kanda of the Skanda Purana. There are also many Palashrutis given within the Mahabharata in connection with Prabhasa Tirtha. Palashrutis are scriptural statements that promise various auspicious results for one who performs a particular pious activity. In the following verses, the Lord himself will explain the particular benefits to be derived from visiting Prabhasa Kshetra and performing religious activities there. Text 36. Once the moon was afflicted with consumption because of the curse of Daksha. But just by taking bath at Prabhasa Kshetra, the moon was immediately freed from his sinful reaction and again resumed the waxing of his phases. Text 37, 38. By bathing at Prabhasa Kshetra, by offering sacrifice there to placate the forefathers and demigods, by feeding the worshipable brahmanas with various delicious foods, and by bestowing opulent gifts upon them as the most suitable candidates for charity, we will certainly cross over these terrible dangers through such acts of charity, just as one can cross over a great ocean in a suitable boat. Text 39. Shukadev Goswami said, O favorite son of the Kurus, thus advised by the personality of Godhead, the Yadavas made up their minds to go to that holy place, Prabhasa Kshetra, and thus yoked their horses to their chariots. Texts 40, 41. My dear king, Uddhava was a constantly faithful follower of Lord Krishna. Upon seeing the imminent departure of the Yadavas, hearing from them of the Lord's instructions, and taking note of the fearful omens, he approached the personality of Godhead in a private place. He bowed down with his head upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Controller of the universe, and with folded hands addressed him as follows. Purport. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, there cannot be any actual disturbance in the Lord's own abode. The great disasters apparently occurring in Dwarka were an external show created by the Lord to facilitate his pastimes. We can understand the pastimes of Krishna only by hearing from the recognized acharyas. Lord Krishna is not a mundane historical figure, and his activities cannot be confined within the tiny limits of material logic. Lord Krishna's pastimes are an exhibition of his achintya shakti, or inconceivable potency, which functions according to higher spiritual laws, unknown to the blind conditioned souls and their petty material logic. Text 42. Sri Uddhava said, O my Lord, O Supreme God among all the demigods, real piety is invoked simply by hearing and chanting your transcendental glories. My Lord, it appears that you will now withdraw your dynasty, and thus you yourself will finally give up your pastimes within this universe. You are the supreme controller and the master of all mystic power, but although you are fully capable of counteracting the Brahmana's curse against your dynasty, you are not doing so, and your disappearance is imminent. Purport. As previously mentioned, Krishna's own dynasty can never be destroyed. Therefore, the word Sanghritya means that Krishna was taking the Yadavas with him as he left this material world. However, in the eyes of ordinary, unenlightened persons, the withdrawal of the Yadu dynasty appears to be its destruction. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has very nicely explained the statement of Uddhava as follows. Krishna is addressed as Deva Deva, or the supreme God among the gods, because he expertly solved all of the problems of the demigods by his incarnation within the universe. The Lord rid the world of demons and firmly established both his devotees and religious principles. Lord Krishna is addressed here as Yogesha, because he not only performed work on behalf of the demigods, but also revealed his beautiful transcendental form, full of transcendental qualities and ecstasies for the pleasure of his pure devotees. Krishna is called Punya Shravana Kirtana, because when by his internal mystic potency he exhibited his human-like activities, the Lord stimulated the writing of innumerable Vedic scriptures about his pastimes. Thus, persons who would be born in the future, like ourselves, would be able to hear and chant about the Lord's activities, and also go back home, back to Godhead. Having ensured the transcendental bliss and liberation of all his devotees, even those who would be born in the future, Krishna decided the time had come for him to leave this material universe. Uddhava could understand the Lord's desire and said to Krishna, "You have instructed the Yadavas to counteract the Brahmana's curse by taking bath at Prabhasa Kshetra, but how could mere bathing in a holy place be of greater value than seeing you, the personality of Godhead, face to face? Since the Yadavas are always seeing your transcendental form, and since you are the Supreme Lord, what is the use of their taking bath in a so-called holy place? Therefore, you obviously have some other purpose. If you actually wanted to counteract the curse, you could simply say, 'Let this curse not act,' and the curse would immediately be neutralized. Therefore, you must be preparing to leave this universe, and that is why you have not counteracted the curse." First-class devotee, Uddhava, knows the mind of the Lord. First-class servant knows the mind of his master. Text 43. O Lord Keshava, my dear master, I cannot tolerate the giving up your lotus feet, even for a fraction of a moment. I urge you to take me along with you to your own abode. Purport. Uddhava understood that Krishna was going to withdraw the Yadu dynasty, and thus he begged the Lord to take him along to the Lord's abode. He had no desire to merge into Krishna's impersonal effulgence. Instead, he wanted to go to the Lord's spiritual abode and continue associating with Krishna as his dearmost friend. Krishna is the personality of Godhead and can do whatever he likes, but the devotee begs the Lord for the chance to serve him. Although the Lord manifests within the material world his various abodes, such as Vrindavan, Dwarka, and Mathura, and although these are certainly not different from their counterparts in the spiritual world, the most advanced devotees, overwhelmed with desire to personally serve the Lord, are very eager to go to the Lord's original spiritual planet. As stated by Lord Kapila in the third canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam, the pure devotees have no desire for liberation. Because of their eagerness to render service, they urged the Lord to appear before them. The 6 Goswamis, due to their intense eagerness to serve Radha and Krishna, urgently searched after them, calling out their names in the forests of Vrindavan. Similarly, Uddhava is urging the Lord to take him to his own abode, so that Uddhava's personal service to the Lord's lotus feet will not be interrupted even for a moment. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has pointed out that immature, conditioned souls think that Lord Krishna is an ordinary jiva soul engaged in material activities and was thus unable to protect his own dynasty from the curse of the Brahmanas. Uddhava's statement corrects such unfortunate persons. It is Lord Krishna himself who awarded pious living entities. It is Lord Krishna himself who awarded pious living entities birth in Brahminical families, and then Lord Krishna further awarded them the potency to curse his dynasty. And finally, Lord Krishna personally kept the curse intact, although he was capable of neutralizing it. Therefore, in the beginning, middle, and end, directly and indirectly, in the past, present, and future, Lord Krishna is the absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead, and he is completely transcendental to even the slightest touch of material illusion or impotence. Text 44. O my dear Krishna, your pastimes are supremely auspicious for mankind and are an intoxicating beverage for the ears. Tasting such pastimes, people forget their desires for other things. Purport. Tasting such pastimes, people forget their desires for other things. Purport. Anyas priham, or desire for things other than Krishna, indicates the material desire to enjoy wife, children, money, and so on. Ultimately, the materialist may desire religious salvation for his personal comfort and satisfaction, but all such desires are mundane, because on the spiritual platform, the pure soul thinks only of the Lord's pleasure and the Lord's service. Therefore, a pure devotee can never give up Krishna, even for a moment, although for Krishna's pleasure, he can give up the entire universe. 45. My dear Lord, you are the Supreme Soul, and thus you are most dear to us. We are your devotees, and how can we possibly reject you or live without you, even for a moment? Whether we are lying down, sitting, walking, standing, bathing, enjoying recreation, eating, or doing anything else, we are constantly engaged in your service. Purport. One should be constantly engaged in the service of Lord Krishna. By hearing about Krishna and by serving him, we can give up the illusion of trying to enjoy something separately from the Supreme Lord. If we neglect such hearing and serving, our minds will become bewildered by the illusory energy of the Lord. I think I'll repeat that one. That's a gem. If we neglect such hearing and serving, our minds will become bewildered by the illusory energy of the Lord. Sorry, I'm trying to find where is it? Strange. Anyway. And seeing the world is separate from Krishna, and I'll read it again. If we neglect such hearing and serving, our minds will become bewildered by the illusory energy of the Lord, and seeing the world as separate from Krishna, we will take it as a place meant for our own sense gratification. This gross ignorance brings nothing but trouble to the living entity. 46. Simply by decorating ourselves with the garlands, fragrant oils, clothes, and ornaments that you have already enjoyed, and by eating the remnants of your meals, we, your servants, will indeed conquer your illusory energy. Purport. It is clear from this verse that Uddhava is not approaching the Lord for liberation from the illusory energy. As a personal, confidential associate of Lord Krishna, Uddhava was undoubtedly a completely liberated soul. He is praying to the Lord because he cannot bear the thought of living without Krishna even for a moment. This feeling is called love of God. Uddhava is addressing the Lord as follows. Even if your illusory energy tries to attack us, my Lord, we will very easily conquer her by our powerful weapons, which are the remnants of your food, clothes, ornaments, and so on. In other words, we will easily conquer over Maya by Krishna Prasadam, and not by useless speculation and mental concoction. Somebody remember the verse in the Gita? I'll give you a hint. Shall we give you a hint? Raga. Raga. Vimuktais Vishayan Indriyais Chiran Atmavashar Vidayatma Prasadam Adhigachtati. One is capable of controlling the senses and following the regulated principles of freedom. He can achieve the complete mercy of the Lord. It's 264. 264. Text 47. Naked sages who seriously endeavor in spiritual practice, who have raised their semen upward, who are peaceful and sinless members of the renounced order, attain the spiritual world called Brahman. Purport. In chapter 12 of the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, Klesho dikatadaste sham abhyakta sakta chetasam. Those who are attached to the impersonal feature of the personality of Godhead must endure grueling penances in order to achieve impersonal liberation in the realm of Brahman. Also it is stated in the Bhagavatam, Aruya krich trena padam padam tatat padantyado nadrita yushman angrayaha. Krich trena, with great struggle and trouble, the yogis climb their way up to the impersonal effulgence called Brahmajyoti. But again, they slip out of the Jyoti and fall back into the material world because they do not take shelter of the personality of Godhead. Envious fools object to the paternalism of the personality of Godhead. But these fools cannot take credit for the creation of their own body, brain, or energy, nor can they claim credit for the air, rain, vegetables, fruits, sun, moon, and so on. In other words, they are totally dependent on the mercy of God at every second. And yet they arrogantly state that they do not want to accept the shelter of the Lord because they are self-sufficient. In fact, some bewildered living entities even think that they themselves are God, although they cannot explain why God has to struggle and toil to achieve meager success in the yoga system. Therefore, Uddhava is pointing out that unlike the impersonalists and meditators, the pure devotees very easily cross over the illusory energy because they are totally attached to the lotus feet of the Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is always transcendental, and if one is firmly attached to the Lord's lotus feet, then he is also transcendental. The causeless mercy of Krishna is more valuable than millions and billions of years of one's own struggling and straining. One should try to get the Lord's mercy, and then everything will become very easy on the path of spiritual realization. In this age, one can achieve the mercy of Lord Krishna by constantly chanting His holy name, as recommended in the Shastra. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, kalo nasteva 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 gatyar anyata. If one constantly chants Lord Krishna's holy names, avoiding offenses against the names, then surely one will achieve the same result as Uddhava. Uddhava was not interested in so-called Brahman realization, but rather he wanted to go on drinking the maddening nectar of the beautiful smiling of the Lord's moon-like face. Text 48 and 49. O greatest of mystics, although we are conditioned souls wandering in the path of fruitive work, we will certainly cross beyond the darkness of this material world simply by hearing about your Lordship in the association of your devotees. Thus we are always remembering and glorifying the wonderful things you do and the wonderful things you say. We ecstatically recall your amorous pastimes with your confidential conjugal devotees, and how you boldly smile and move about while engaged in such youthful pastimes. My dear Lord, your loving pastimes are bewilderingly similar to the activities of ordinary people within this material world. I'm smiling because I just read all about this morning. Lord Chaitanya. Hare Krishna. Purport. In this verse, Uddhava, by stating Brahmantak karma vartmasu, humbly presents himself as one of the conditioned souls entangled in fruitive activities. Still, Uddhava is confident that he will certainly cross over the illusory energy because he is addicted to chanting and remembering the glorious activities and words of Lord Krishna. Okay, all drug users, raise your hands. Here we go again. Still, Uddhava is confident that he will certainly cross over the illusory energy because he is addicted to chanting and remembering the glorious activities and words of Lord Krishna. That's it. That's the secret. That's the summum bonum. Make a note of these two places. Can't figure out how to. I'm missing one thing here. Okay. Similarly, Rupa Goswami has stated, Iha yasya harir dasye karmana manasa gira nikila swapyabastasu jivan mukta sa uchate. Although one may outwardly appear to be involved in this material world, if one is always engaged 24 hours a day in the service of Lord Krishna, then one is considered to be a liberated soul. Uddhava states here that hearing the name and pastimes of Krishna is infinitely more effective than becoming a naked yogi in the forest and running the constant risk of becoming, due to lusty desires and sex indulgence, a naked monkey in the forests. Hare Krishna. Uddhava is begging the Lord for the mercy of his Sudarshan chakra, whose effulgence is represented by the process of remembering. Whoa! Uddhava is begging the Lord for the mercy of his Sudarshan chakra, the effulgence, whose effulgence is represented by the process of remembering and chanting the pastimes of the Lord. One who absorbs himself in the incomparable bliss of thinking of the Lord's abode easily becomes free from all lamentation, illusion, and fear. That is the recommendation of Sri Uddhava. Text 50. Shukadev Goswami said, O King Parikshit, thus addressed, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the son of Devaki, began to reply confidentially to his dear, unalloyed servant, Uddhava. Purport. According to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, the conditioned living entities, by their movements, laughter, activities, and words, simply bind themselves more and more in material existence. But if they engage in hearing and chanting about the pastimes of the personality of Godhead, the conditioned souls achieve liberation from the bondage of repeated birth and death. This process of supreme liberation will now be elaborately described by Lord Krishna to his dearmost devotee, Sri Uddhava. And we're about to enter into, guess what? Uddhava Gita, yes. Thus end the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to the 11th canto, 6th chapter of Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled The Yadu Dynasty Retires to Prabhasa. Uddhava ki jai. Sri Krishna ki jai. Brigamuni ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Okay, we'll stop there, and tomorrow we'll start the Uddhava Gita. Time for our open mic program. Hey Sarvi, got something for us? He's probably got lots of things, but he's just keeping it to himself. Sarvi, don't be a miser. We're waiting to see if he's going to do it or not. Oh, so shall we give you a couple more minutes to, or what?
I'd ask a question.
Okay, wait. Here's your mic.
When text 47 describes the, quote, spiritual abode called Brahman. So usually Brahman is said to be formless. Here it's sort of compared to spiritual abode. Can you comment on that?
Yes. When Gopakumar went to, what is it called? Mahakala. No, Mahakalapur, the abode of the Lord. there he saw Mahakala. It was effulgent, and he couldn't see anything, but then he saw the form of the Brahmajyoti. And he saw that these souls were actually unconsciously, without intention, doing service to the Lord by sparkling around him. So there is a personal aspect. But in this case, the Supreme Brahman means the planets of the spiritual world, in context. But there is no place that is impersonal. That's my point. I think that was your point.
I think Yadu told a story that when he first came in Boston to the temple, he was driving in the car and he was driving the devotees, and then he said that I think his friend or someone said something about the impersonal Brahman, and one of the devotees very enthusiastically said there's no place in the creation of the entire universe that's impersonal or something like that.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
He was impressed. The devotees
Yes,
were so
that impressed him, yes.
emphatic.
Yes, that's right, that's right. I think Prana is next.
I just really like hearing Uddhava speaking. He, you can tell he's a more confidential devotee than the demigods and Brahma. I mean, it just comes out in the prayers how he's so attached to Krishna, and how he's saying he's just addicted by hearing about, serving and hearing, and I mean, there was that contrast I felt that between the demigods kind of almost saying like, thanks for helping us, and see ya. Or you can go now if you want.
Yeah.
And then Uddhava saying, don't go, or if you go.
Very nice point.
Yeah, just really sweet prayers. I thought.
Very nice point. Very nice point.
I was just wondering, how do the devotees in our line, like Prabhasa Kshetra is considered a holy place, but Krishna's disappearance in some ways doesn't please all the devotees. It seems like him going, even though it's transcendental. So how does devotees look at Prabhasa Kshetra?
Well, Prabhupada explained that the devotees are interested in things, activities that happen, and in places that normally wouldn't seem to be auspicious, simply because Krishna is involved. So that's all. It's simply because Krishna is involved that the devotees would go there, pilgrimage place. And it's not a law. It isn't a law. It's an individual thing. There are devotees who are, close to Krishna in ways that cause them to be intrigued and attracted to go to a place like Prabhasa, and there's others who aren't. And therefore there's unlimited variety, and therefore unlimited numbers of devotees, and each and every one of them are unique. No two of them are exactly the same. Just like here, we can see the reflection. Look at each person, completely different. All human beings, male and female, but each one completely different, unique. If you just think about that, it shows the unlimited intelligence and wonder of Krishna's intelligence in his creation. So the spiritual world is even more like that, you know. So it's individual. Some devotees become, you know, so attached to a particular place in the spiritual world that they don't want to go anywhere else, and they don't, you know. And some want to go everywhere and to every, you know, place where the Lord even thought about or went, you know, even if not major pastimes. There are devotees who do that in India in particular. And in our line, the safe path. That's why I'm pushing. I'm doing politics to get to this road that they're thinking about renaming, giving it a spiritual name, because we have so many devotees' houses along it that we got a majority, so we can name it what we want. Yeah, it's rare. And I'm pushing. I wrote a letter to Manasi. And I pushed Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. I wrote a letter to Manasi and I pushed the name Gauranga Way, because they had in the possibilities of names, it was street, lane, way, something else, something else, something else. And I said, oh, way, Gauranga Way. And I'm thinking it's important because Lord Chaitanya, without Lord Chaitanya's mercy, we can't go to Krishna Loka, we can't go to Radha and Krishna. It's not possible unless you go through Lord Chaitanya's mercy. I mean, I'm just finishing up the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita, reading it as intensely and perfectly as I can, attentively, and that's the conclusion. It's so important that we enlighten people about Lord Chaitanya. I mean, even the Indian community, they don't know. I don't know if you know this, but I guess I'm saying this because we're coming up to Gurpurnim, kind of a month away, something like that. And in midnight, 1985, Indira Gandhi, who was the Prime Minister of India at that time, televised, on television, she offered the first arati to Lord Chaitanya to kick off the year-long celebration of Lord Chaitanya's appearance in India. And yet Indians, now they hardly even anybody knows about Lord Chaitanya. They all think Rama and Krishna, but they don't think of Lord Chaitanya. So it's really important. Okay. Write to Manasi Ganga and put in your vote. I'm making a block. I'm trying to do politics. I'm making a block of devotees.
You have to pay $15 for your vote, though.
Oh, really?
It's
Just to put in the suggestion.
Well, you'll be excluded because you're a sannyasi, but
Well, I knew there was something good about taking a sannyas.
it costs $300 to change the name, and they counted how many houses the devotees have.
Oh, so it's 15 each.
But I wanted to ask one more thing.
Okay, you can answer. You can get an answer as long as you agree. This is my politics. I'm doing power politics here.
Mm.
If you can put in Gauranga Way, I'll answer your question. Just a fruity materialist.
I already put in another
You did? What did you put in?
Prabhupada place.
Ooh. Oh, all right. Go ahead. You'll probably win.
I wasn't trying to win or lose. I just.
No, I was doing power politics, so I'll probably lose because I need to do power politics. You always lose. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Is it true that an ordinary person, if they got hit in the foot with an arrow, probably wouldn't die? Is it? I don't know medically, but it seems like if someone got hit by the foot, they wouldn't an ordinary person wouldn't leave their body.
The fruits of old age. Probably not. Which makes the pastime even more interesting. You know, that Krishna, you know, he did the things that he did. To think that he's going to get an arrow in his foot and leave his body because of that. Anybody who would fall for that deserves to be a demon. Right? And that's the way they are. They're so envious. He can do anything and they'll still find a way to criticize him. And Jarasandha, 17 times defeated. His army, every single person in his army defeated. Only him, and sent back with a tail between his legs, completely, defeated and humiliated. And still, he just coming back. And then when Krishna, last day, he runs off and then he says, just see, I defeated you. You're this and you're that. He even brought it up when they went to kill him, Bhima and Arjun and him. I'm not gonna fight with you. You're just a coward. You ran away. So, I guess sometimes it takes the demons. Like Krishna. Maybe it's Krishna likes. This is my speculation. Maybe Krishna likes to embarrass the demons by letting people think that, But it's interesting how Prabhupada, how the verses describe it and the commentaries describe how Krishna actually created a form that looked exactly the same out of the material elements, just at the time. It didn't happen. And there's no discussion, by the way, anywhere of what happened then. There's no question of there have been a body and having, like funeral, this, that, nothing. Zip. Therefore, the conclusion of the acharyas is that it's just a show. It's not even real. It's just a projection. It's like someone projects something. How they have these electronic effects that they can project something on the wall and it makes it look like somebody's there or something's happening or something. Huh? Hologram or in other ways, other things. Even just the movies they do, these special effects movies, or these games that the kids play nowadays. I don't know what they're like at all.
Intense.
Huh?
They're pretty intense. Very realistic looking as well.
Yeah. Every once in a while I see a little trailer when you're looking at the news, every time a little trailer. It looks so real. Are we having someone come in? Whoa. Hey, Jeremy.
Hello, how are you?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Well, I'm a lot better to see you. Thanks. Thank you. Nice to see you.
Let's see you.
You're a striking person. You're a striking looking person. And are you related to him?
Hi, please, Mr. Kentucky. I've never been to this building.
Really? Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. What's your name?
Thank you. Austin.
Austin. We have an Austin right there. Well, he was Austin before. Now his name is Abaya. Right here.
I'm Austin now, since I became a citizen.
Oh, you took a different name when you became a
Yeah.
citizen? We take different names when we get initiated.
Oh,
It's kind of like the same
I'll
idea.
stick to mine. I chose it and I liked it.
Yes, Dr. Matthew. We're having a question and answer session. We just had an hour's reading from one of the deep spiritual books that we read.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
The text 35 that we read in the situation about getting all the Yadus out of Dwarka, because Dwarka is such a auspicious place that anyone who dies there goes straight back to Godhead. It was making me think about the Canto 10, chapter 87, chapter 87, verse 40. It says, when a person realizes you, he no longer cares about his good and bad fortune arising from past pious and sinful acts, since it is you alone who controls his good and bad fortune. Such a realized devotee also disregards what ordinary living beings say about him. Every day he fills his ears with your glories, which are reciting in each age by the unbroken succession of Manu's descendants, and thus you become his ultimate salvation. It got me thinking about how you said right after they all left Dwarka that it got flooded and almost everyone died there.
Well, let's get it straight. Let's get it straight. Oh, you want to say something else?
I want to ask a question.
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes do spiritual masters sometimes do they test their disciples to see if they know what's best, or do they just give instruction to follow it without question?
Oh yes, yes. It's the duty of the spiritual master to test the disciple to see if they're actually assimilating and understanding the instructions. Yes. Just as Krishna does. It's the same. Nice point. Thank you. But I'd like to make the point that it's the residents of Dwarka who were demigods before and came from the heavenly planets to participate in Krishna's pastimes that went to Prabhasa. And the eternal associates, they stayed in Dwarka. And that's when the ocean came. But the eternal associates, they didn't experience any inconvenience whatsoever. They were just immediately transferred, back to the spiritual world. But there's another aspect of this, and that is that when Krishna appears in a visible form, meaning a form that anyone can see, not everyone could understand who he was, but everyone in the material world, when Krishna appears, can see his physical form. And Krishna, he agrees when he comes to the material world to follow to a certain extent, not completely, because he can do anything. One of the things that he can do when we say he can do anything, he sometimes agrees to act like he's under the control of the material energy. And that's part of what Prabhasa pastime in the Maushala Lila is. He arranges all this to maintain the agreement that he made when he came. Like in the spiritual world, Krishna can be everywhere at the same time and be with every single devotee at the same time, and he does so, and sometimes not. He can do whatever he likes. He's God. But when he's in the material world, he agrees to follow, at least externally, he goes from one place to another. And his devotees who are in this other place, they have to wait until he gets there before they can, be with him. There are other special moments when they can see him in their, they exchange. He goes back to Vrindavan and plays with the residents of Vrindavan, and they think it's just a dream. They don't think it's real, but it's real. But they can't perceive it. So that's part of Krishna's prakat, what we call prakat lila, the manifested pastimes in the material world. So yeah, some of the pastimes. There's a comment by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that says that in some ways, Krishna's pastimes in the material world appear to be more wonderful than they are in the spiritual world, and this is one of them. That the devotees have to wait until Krishna goes to the next place before they see him, and that's very wonderful, because he's agreeing to be like that, so that the world can see him and interact with him and become uplifted and purified by him. Vishwanath gives the example, if you light one candle in a completely dark room, the candle is very, very beautiful, specific. But if you light the room like this, and there's a candle here, it's not as beautiful. So the spiritual pastimes of Krishna, when they come to the material world, surrounded by the material energy, they appear to be more beautiful than even when they're there in the spiritual world, where there's only spiritual energy. Like if you want to display a jewel, like you're a jewel salesman, and you want to display a really rare jewel, you'll put it on a black or dark blue velvet, so that the sparkling, the glow of the jewel will come out more. Hare Krishna. Okay, it's 6 o'clock. This is a time that we stop our program for this time. We're sorry that we can't go on and on, but there's a very lovely program at the temple, which everyone is attending. So 4:30 to 6 is our Sunday evening timing. Austin, it's very nice to meet you. Hope we see you again sometime. Jeremy, it's lovely to see you again. When you walked in the door, my heart went whoop. Yeah. You're a very nice soul, very good aura,
Thank you.
special aura. Yeah.
You have a great one too.
No, I'm just basking in the light from all the devotees. That's all. Trying to reflect. Hare Krishna. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody out there in cyberspace. Hare Krishna. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Krishna's Moshola Leela ki jai. Uddhava ki jai. And we're going to hear the Uddhava Gita starting tomorrow. That'll take quite a few days to get through that one. Hare Krishna.